Welcome, Dragonseekers, to the Lucky Die in Kino. Some folks come and go from our lives and from the stories we're telling, but sometimes we just have to catch up with those that leave our teams and heroes to follow their journey through the apocalyptic end of Bitcoin. One such person is Tawree. In this tale, we follow our favourite spoon-wielding mama and meet her new companions as she seeks rumours of dragons deep within the humming forest at the behest of the Bellum-based bunny Ultra. Who are Taree's new companions? Are they too seeking to become dragon slayers? And why is Arissa along for the journey? I guess you're about to find out. Welcome to the back and side stories of the Lucky Die in Kino. In our first chapter today, we meet with Alix, a plasmoid with a firm faith in the existence of dragons. Alix and their mentor adventure out this day to pursue rumours and spread the good word of the Tawree song, but alas, things do not go quite according to plan. We find ourselves in the humming forest. The movement of the leaves, the rustling of the bushes, all create this low-level melodic hum. It's not one of those annoying tinnitus hums, it's a genuine music that seems to be all throughout this forest, made by the trees themselves, made by the magical animals that live here. We find ourselves following two people. One is a fairly short, older-looking goblin. He has tufts of white and grey hair out of his ears, little bits of hair all over his head, mostly balding. He's wearing kind of very light armor, and he is using his weapon, his dragon pole, more like a walking stick. He's clearly still strong, he's clearly still spry, his eyes are as bright as ever, but he's clearly advancing in years. And walking at his side, in this darkness that is drawing ever closer, is... Casey, would you be kind enough to describe your character?
Alix is a plasmoid, and they are... I think I said they were green, right? Yeah, so they're like green and globulous, and they have formed themselves into like a mockery of a dragonborn with like a tail and like the little like dragon looking head. Unfortunately, they don't have any eyes or a mouth or nostrils, so it's a very like if you made a dragonborn out of jelly and forgot to add details.
Yep, that's what we have.
And they're wearing standard monk clothes.
Yeah, something pretty standard. I believe you're also carrying some sort of pole or a staff.
Yes, I'm carrying a quarter, some sort of staff. Yes.
This particular evening, as you're walking through the forest, the old goblin's name is Thistledown Fizz, with big thank yous to our patrons for that. But he prefers to be called Fizz. Fizz is wearing a sash around his ankle, and it denotes him as being a dragon knight of the particular cult. No, as I was corrected earlier yesterday, order of this dragon order called the Tawree Soul. He is a dragon knight, and Alix is a dragon companion. An apprentice of sorts. This particular evening, Fizz and Alix are following the lead of someone who may know where a clutch of dragon eggs are. Could you take either an investigation or a perception check for me, please?
I sure can do that.
Dope.
They're the same, so I'm just going to click the one that's on the top. Investigation. Will you click? There we go. I got a 9.
Oh, well, you really don't spot anything at all.
That tracks. I think that Alix is not a very perceptive individual. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of their like focus to remember to stay in a form and not be jelly on the ground.
Yeah, that's understandable. There are slightly more important things to look out for right now. It's getting pretty late. You don't seem to notice anything, and neither does Fizz. All right, then. It's probably about time we set up camp, don't you think?
Yes, I think that we should set up camp. It would be a good idea.
All right, then. He rolls up his sleeves and he like begins to go to work to set up the camp. He sends you off to do fetch some firewood, but keeping it fairly small. It's not long before you have a crackling little camp set up amongst the trees and the leaves. And he sits back, he leans back on his pack, and he has like this long pipe which he's packed the end of with something, and he's just blowing rings into the air. Not so much that you get spotted, but enough to like at least chill him out. And he says, "Something I've got to ask you, Alix. Why do you want to become a dragon knight?"
Well, I would like to serve the great dragons better.
But the thing is, mate, people haven't really seen dragons in quite a while. I mean, I haven't seen one, and I've blimey, I've been part of the Tawree Soul since I was a nipper. How are you so sure they exist?
I remember seeing one. Get
out of here.
It's genetic memory. So I don't know how long ago it was.
Right, I get you. My mentor was a plasmodiso, so they told me such things exist. And he kind of blows out like a really big smoke ring.
It is strange because I remember things, but I don't know if they are my memories sometimes or if they are memories from before I was split off to become me from my papa.
Now, I've been alive for 70 odd years, I think. Blimey, I try not to remember exactly. It makes you sad, doesn't it? I remember my mentor. They were plasmoid, a bit like yourself. A bit more pinkish in colour than green per se. They gave me this. And he indicates like the dragon pole that he's been using as a walking stick. I remember this stick being like 6 feet tall. And then they handed it over to me when I officially became a dragon knight. I remember it shrinking down and being absolutely amazed by it. I thought that was the power of the dragons. It's not a cost, it's just magic. You know, Alix, I envy you. I know you're at the start of your journey, but the fact that you can start this not based just on faith. The fact you know that there are dragons out there. God, I wish I had that. I wish I'd seen a dragon before I died.
Did he say before he died or before the dragon died?
Before he dies. He's convinced he's never going to see a dragon before his death.
Knight Fizz, you are only 75. You are not going to die anytime soon. You will see a dragon.
You're so full of optimism, I guess. You know, this is supposed to be the last mission I've got out. Training you up, checking out this potential location for dragon eggs. It's not the first time I've done it, but it will probably be my last.
You are retiring.
Right. I mean, probably a day or two more before we reach the sighting, and probably 2 days back to the village. 3 days maybe, Alix. 3 days.
Well, thank God it's not 2 days till retirement. Please cut that out, Neil. That was a joke. That was a joke for me.
No, you have to keep it in. It is funny.
Everybody dies on 2 days to retirement.
Well, I haven't seen the sun go down yet. Anyway, sorry.
Oh God, no, it is 2 days to your retirement. Please be careful. Do not take unnecessary journeys. Stay off strange roads.
So, if you got a choice, which of the 4 dragons would you have liked to have met?
I think I would like to have met Darrow.
Yes. Darrow is always a good one to fall back on. I mean, at the end of the day, once you got your planning out of the way, and once you got your talking out the way, and when you try to mend bridges, that really is your last option. Always want it to be a good one.
I want to be strong like Darrow. And maybe I would like to be like the dragons.
You know, my mentor, they mentioned a few times that it was sometimes possible for them when they were interacting with their dragon. They were a true dragon knight, you know, not symbolic like me. They really had a dragon. They said it was possible for them to sometimes be like them. You know, they could grow wings and reshape their form. They could truly be like them. But of course, my mentor, they had a dragon. You know, if this lead turns out to be true, you might have a dragon of your own too.
I would like that. I would respect them so highly and learn from their wisdom. They would be younger than me, but they would have the genetic wisdom of their ancestors.
Of course. Let's just hope they don't turn out like Zero. No, I'm sure with you as their guide, as their helping hand, they wouldn't turn to that. You'd be a good dragon knight one day. Just gotta be a little bit more careful. And he kind of like gives you a nudge.
When he nudges them, it just like loops into their arm for a second because they were thinking about dragons and therefore forgot that to be as solid as they usually try to remember to be. They get really embarrassed and flustered. And in a very, very clearly purposeful imitation of how other biology works, they like a little bit of the goo from like their shoulder goes up into where their cheeks would be and like masses up by the front to make it slightly darker green, but now there's just a chunk of their shoulder missing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alix. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
No, I am sorry. I try to remember to be more solid. It is embarrassing when I am not. The goo returns to their shoulder and the fake blush leaves their cheeks.
No need to be embarrassed about what we are. I mean, I'm solid. You're plasmoid. That's fine. I tell you what. Getting older isn't fun, my friends. I'm gonna take the first sleep, if you don't mind taking the first watch.
Of course. I am happy to take the first watch.
All right. Ignore this old man's musings and worryings about his faith. I'll see you in the morning. Couple of hours. Give me a couple of hours.
Right.
And he kind of like he kind of like pulls his pack apart and he rolls up at it and he's very quickly asleep. He doesn't really snore, as he just kind of like just like he just does a lot of that in his sleep. But yeah. I would like you to take a perception check, please.
Sure. Come on, Alix.
We believe in you, mate.
15.
Dope. All right. On a 15, with the sun properly set now and the moon kind of beginning to fill at this point, you get a really good clear view of the skies. There's no clouds out. And you're fairly certain that somewhere to your north, you see smoke. Just wisps of it out in the forest.
Does it look like a forest fire, maybe?
Nope, just your standard regular campfire that should have been properly maintained to not produce this smoke, but there it is.
If they were like dragons, they would not be seen. They would be much more stealthy.
Alix just makes up what they think about dragons as they go on.
I love this so much.
Alix is truly like, if they were living in the early 2000s and had a gender, they would have been like the elementary school horse girl. This is that's their level of engagement with dragons.
Yep. That's fair. Yeah. So what do you want to do with this information?
I'm going to wake up Fizz and I'm going to go, Sir Fizz! Sir Fizz!
All right. What is it, Alix?
Alix is super excited, and so therefore their draconic-y looking face is shifting between like human looking, draconic looking, like a lot of different shapes, because they're having trouble maintaining their shape because they are so excited, and they're like,
Sir Fizz, there is smoke. There is smoke. There are people that way.
And there's points at the little wisps of smoke.
They are not very stealthy. They are not very good. They are not like dragons.
No, you're probably right. Dragons would probably have much more smoke. He kind of like is struggling to wake up. This probably hasn't been more than a couple of hours. And he kind of like, he wakes up and like shakes his head. He does the slapping of his own face to try and wake himself up. You can see like the spouts of hair just like wiggling around as he's trying to wake up. His big goblin ears moving. And he says, all right. Okay, we need to get more information. As our Lady Zero says, information and gathering information is important. Right, okay. He looks about and he looks up at the tallest tree nearby. And he says, if you wouldn't mind give me a quick hand to get the first branch, you can probably get up to the top of my own.
Okay, I can do that.
Chunks from their face disappears and their hands become incredibly green, because I want to make sure that there is just no way that he will slip through their goo.
Oh. Yep. He appreciates the lift up as you kind of like turn yourself into a bit of a ladder, I guess. He makes his way up to the first branch. All right, thank you very much. And he begins to like climb his way to the top of the tree. Again, for a man who's only just woken up and he is getting on a little bit, like he seems to be moving quite spryly. You would know from your apprenticeship with him that he's definitely more of a scout than following the teachings of Zero more than the other siblings, but he doesn't have that level of fanaticism that the Zero does. And he looks out across the thing, and you see him like squinting his eyes a little bit. He's just trying to get a better view. And he very slowly climbs back down again, kind of drops to the floor. And he looks up and he says, "You're right. Looks like there's a group of people up ahead, but they look like they're in some sort of clearing, knocked down a bunch of trees and such like to make it. So they're well and truly encamped there."
What do you think they are doing here?
I am not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest. But my normal trick here is to go up and be unobserved as I observe, so I can gather my information and my resources, so I can figure out how best to approach a problem. But this is more about what you want to do, Alix. How do you think we should approach this?
I think that we should follow what Our Lady Zero says. Zero, not zero. I have accent. Sometimes it sounds like I'm saying other person when I mean zero. Zero.
It's okay. I often quite struggle with Kino Common myself. I much prefer speaking Goblish.
I do not speak that, unfortunately. I can speak Celestial? No, wait, sorry, that is wrong. I can speak Infernal and I can speak Draconic, but I cannot speak whatever you just said.
Goblish.
Goblish. How do you say dragon in Goblish?
He says something unpronounceable to my human tongue. Nailed it. Yes. Fuck yeah.
I see. I see. That was a very good workaround by the GM.
I appreciate you appreciating me. Yeah, the pair of you approach. It's a little distance away. It's probably about 30-minute walk. It's very quickly able to like disassemble your camp, and Fizz seems quite convinced that these people have been here for a while, obviously. And you make your way towards there. The ground itself begins to like slope upwards quite steeply and quite quickly, but you're both still able to climb it almost silently. There's no loose rocks and there's no real dirt or random plants around. It's quite easy to get footholds and then climb up this rock face. And as you get to the top, you look down at the clearing below you. Can you roll a perception check for me, and I will tell you how much of their camp you get to see.
12.
Okay. The clearing below you is actually quite large. It is bigger than what Fizz had anticipated from quite so far away. The part that you're on is essentially this kind of cliff which forms one side of this clearing, and it's quite high up, probably like 30-40 feet or some such. And you can look down and you can see all of these people moving about, and they are basically all the races of Kino. They're down here doing various different things. You can tell even from a distance that there is magic users throughout. There are very few martially inclined people here. They all seem to be doing very specific jobs. You can see that the trees have indeed been cut down and pushed back so that the clearing is quite large. You can see that on the ground there are various runes that have been made in these, like, out of the trunks of the trees and out of branches and bushes that seem strange to your eyes. To your form. And even Fizz is having issues trying to figure out what they are. You can see that there are loads of like tents and sleeping that have been set up kind of just almost directly beneath you, making use of at least some of the shelter that the cliff provides. You see that there is what looks like a very large bonfire in the center of this, and it's surrounded by these kind of like black and white quartz looking stones that make a circle around the bonfire. Disturbingly, however, off to one side, sort of north of their camp, you see what looks like a pile of maybe white rocks of all different shapes. Some are kind of roundish, ovalish in shape. Some of them are kind of more stick-like. And there are lots of them. There are many of them. And in a pile next to that, you see a mound of what looks like cloth. Maybe leathers, you're not entirely sure. But the stench is uncomfortable. Your form can sense the smell of cooking and decayed meat.
Oh, I do not like it. When a thing smells very bad, I do not have olfactory receptors, but it is like my body can taste the scent if it is very strong, and this is a very strong scent, so I feel very bad for you, Surface. What is...
Oh, Alix.
What do we think this is?
I mean, look, and he kind of he points down at one of the runes that's really close to the fire, and you can tell that there's a box of something there, and he says, I don't know if you can quite see that, but that box there has got a crap, and I mean a crap ton of magic scrolls in there. And that rune over there, you see that one that's a little bit north, right by where those skeletons and those corpses are? That's the necromantic rune.
Oh, they are going to bring those skeletons and corpses back?
I think so. And he kind of looks up and he's looking at the stars and he's looking at the moon and he says, I think we're probably, maybe a couple of hours before dawn. This is one of those perfect times for... and he kind of shivers. All of those bloody awful necromantic spells to go off.
Should we do something about
Alix? Alix, I don't know how many of you spotted down there, but I can at least see a score of them, at least 20 of them down there. I'm not sure much you and I can do on our own.
Alix is getting very excited and having trouble staying solid. There is just a lot of goo happening all over as they're half solid, half goo right now. They're a solid upper body coming out of basically drippy goo all over whatever tree branch they're on.
Fizz looks at you and sees that you're obviously overexcited, and he says, "You just gotta remember, just take a moment to center yourself. It's all right. You don't have to be solid, but you just have to make sure you're a little bit contained. All right? Okay.
Do not drip. I understand. I will not drip. I will not let one little bit of me leave this tree."
Good. Because if we get caught now, Alix, we're probably a little bit boned.
I don't have bones, Surface.
I will be very boned at that point.
We have cousins that they have bones, but they are not their own bones. Gelatinous cube joke.
That's... Okay, Alix, if this is the lead that we were indeed sent here to find, we might need to follow one or two of these, or we might just need to watch them to see what they're doing, or we might need to see if somebody turns up to speak with them.
Right, okay.
I think it's best that we get a little bit of information, because if they are bringing back these skeletons and these corpses as some sort of... Well, I think there's probably in excess of 30 dead creatures over there, so that's a pretty great group. All right, we might want to see where they're going. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes. This is what I think we should do. I think we should stay here and watch them and see if these reanimated things go anywhere in particular.
Yes, Surface, of course.
As quiet as we can be now. And he just he hunkers down and lays on his front, and you can just you can tell that really only hit the top of his head and his eyes are overlooking the top of this to see what's going on below. As you are both watching, you can see that many of the magic users come together around this bonfire. You can see those who are clearly have a bit more of the martial inquired prowess. They walk over and they start picking up some of these skeletons and picking up some of these corpses. And they place them in a circular pattern around the stones that are around the bonfire. You see the magic users lift their hands, and as they kind of lift them up, you see the scrolls float towards them, and each of them begin to cast this spell. You see this kind of dark purplish green energy begin to form around each of them, and you see each of these corpses or skeletal figures begin to slowly crack, and you hear that even from where you are. You see them begin to slowly shift and stand up as if by magic, which it is. You see the 6 of them turn and head in a southerly direction, just one after another, following one in each other like some sort of bizarre line, each in step with each other. Okay, right. I think I want to follow them. I mean, I don't want to follow them, but I also don't want to go in there with 20 wizards and what looks like 8 people with big swords, bigger than me, even. So, look, Alix, this could get quite dangerous. You don't have to come with if you don't want to.
Sir Fizz, I am your companion. I must come with you.
I can't guarantee there's much about dragons with this, but this is clearly not right.
What we must do is we must stand up for what is right.
He nods, and you can see that, like, even in the darkness, that he's smiling. He's glad to have a companion, or he's glad that you're at least following the tenets of the order. All right then, let's go figure this out. And he slowly begins to, like, stand up and, like, make his way after these corpses that are beginning to, like, shamble their way out of the forest. Could I have you make a stealth check for you and Fizz, please?
Yes, absolutely. 20.
Damn! As you both begin to, like, silently make your way down, Fizz kind of, like, stops occasionally, and then you carry on, and you occasionally stop, the pair of you, and then you carry on. As far as the ritualists, the cultists that aren't your good cult, are performing down there, they are unaware of your presence. You make your way through the forest, and you are following this obvious trail of undeath. It is very obvious, following these footprints, these steps, and Fizz takes great pains to show you what he's looking at when he's tracking this. He shows you that there are at least 4 skeletal figures in this group. You saw that, but he can prove it with marks on the ground. He shows you that 2 of them, one a Goliath and one is clearly another goblin, which seems to hurt him quite intently. You see that they are more corpsey, they are more flesh-holding than these skeletons. And he shows you this as you're walking through the forest. He's showing you how to track this. And it's actually not long before you catch up with them. The wind shifts and changes, and the music of the humming forest almost reacts as if it doesn't want this dark presence here. It becomes eerie and uncomfortable. And up ahead, as the wind shifts, you can smell them, and you can see them. You can see 4 skeletons of various sizes. You can see a Goliath and a goblin corpse as they are shambling northwards. What do you want to do? Sorry, southwards. What do you want to do?
I'm going to look to Sir Fizz. Alix is not the decision maker here. Alix is the person that is going to follow the orders of their superior.
Fizz looks at you and he says, all right, we can probably keep trying to follow these, but we don't know how far they go, and we've only got rations for another couple of days. So, let us do as your Darrow suggests. Let us be strong and try and get one of them. They don't seem to be reacting to anything that's around them. You can see the birds and you can see the squirrels that are running around in front of them. You can see that odd bunny there. They don't seem to be reacting to any of that at all. So I don't know if they'll be able to see us all. So, fortune brave is the bold, so let's go in there and see if we can get one of them. We might be able to destroy the magics and take it back to the seers of the Tawree soul. See if they can get any information about this, or take it back to the town nearby to see if any of their magic users can figure this out. Now, I'm not one for running straight in there to do this, so let's grab the one at the back and hope that nobody else notices. But we've got to be really quiet about it, okay?
All right.
Oh, this is a bad plan. Why am I a little bit too... fuck this. All right. He kind of like shrugs his shoulders. He grips his dragon pole a little harder, and you can see that's carved into the wooden parts of the dragon pole. You can see that the 2 dragons that are carved at either end, they begin to glow just a very, very minute amount. As you can tell, that he's like focusing his energies from the dragons. All right. Remember, if you take from the left, I'll take from the right. We just gotta nab this one, okay? Do you think you're ready for this?
Yes, absolutely, I can do this.
I believe in you. You've got it. And he gives you like the double thumbs up. And then he sneaks off to the left.
All right, and I'm going for the one on the right.
Yeah.
And that one is which one again?
So he wants you to nab the one at the back, and it is a skeletal figure that's actually like probably not much taller than he is. It might be a goblin, but the chances are it probably isn't. It might be a hobgoblin based on its size. It's somewhat taller than him, but it's definitely not like a tiefling or a tabaxi or anything like that. All right. Could you make a stealth roll for me, please?
Yes. That is a 26.
Jesus Christ. As you split up and you begin to catch up fairly quickly and very silently, you notice that you can sometimes barely ever see Fizz, like at all. And you have the feeling that Fizz may be the same, because occasionally you'll see him looking over at you when you see him, as if he's trying to find you, and then he spots you. You both make your way very, very silently towards this creature. They are all 6 are following this straight line, and they are headed directly south. The one at the back is moving in the same gait, the same pace as the rest of them. So you kind of get that rhythmic doof, 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 doof that goes along with the humming that's in this forest. You see that Fizz is caught up, and he raises a hand, and he basically has 3 fingers. 3, 2, 1. And he sweeps his dragon pole forwards and sweeps it underneath the legs of the skeleton of the hobgoblin. What do you want to do?
I am going to use my fun racial ability that I can extrude a pseudopod.
Ooh.
Oh, wait. Never mind. It can't attack, so I'm not going to use that. I was going to do my pseudopod and use it to trip, but apparently it can only manipulate an object, open an unlocked door or container, stow or retrieve an item from an open container, or pour out the
much like Mage Hand.
It's Mage Hand, but it me.
Yeah,
it you. No mage, only Alix.
What is a mage? I don't know. I don't know anything about magic. I only know about dragons and how to shape myself into fun forms. Look, I am a party clown now. Look at the little hair. I've made a poof. What do you mean I don't have a nose?
Jesus Christ. Not only did you get a 26 on the stealth, that was your natural 20. That's ridiculous.
It was. It sure was. I think Alix is going to go in. I'm going to use my melee weapon so that if I hit, I can use a stunning strike.
So,
fun times for me. It's a 14.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, the skeletons, they don't know you're coming. I'm gonna say you can roll again, because you came from a nat 20 stealth.
It's a 12.
So you should have the advantage on that. Okay.
The dice really do not like Alix. I do not understand why Alix is good.
1 key point to attempt a stunning strike. The target must be... yes, please, for a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, shit. I mean, it's a skelly. It can't have that much, right? Oh, it did. In that case, the creature manages to succeed.
So
it is not stunned.
But I did hit it for a full 7 damage.
You did? It is definitely like you hear this kind of crack and you see Fizz just go completely still as this crack just kind of echoes around the forest. But the other 5 just seem to keep walking and the creature just stumbles a little bit and they kind of like crawl themselves back up to their feet as Fizz's dragon pole just sweeps the feet out from underneath them and they climb back to their feet and they just continue to try shambling forwards. What do you want to do now?
I am going to try one more time to stun it.
Okay,
actually,
go right ahead.
Well, you know what else am I going to use the key for anyway? So I'm going to unarmed strike it, and no, I'm going to do quarterstaff again because I want to stun. I would like to stun you. I would like if you would
try.
click. I would like, there we go. 26.
God fucking damn it. Not only is that a 26, that is a natural 20. So what is the total damage there?
12, and please to be using your Constitution saving throw again.
You see the creature as you kind of smack it in the back, and you see that Fizz's Fizz's dragon pole again just kind of tries to smash it in the legs, but tends to like get it somewhere in like where its abdomen would be. You hear like 2 cracks go off at once, and this creature, you can see this kind of crack forming in the skull, goes completely still and just seems to have no idea or make any real movements whatsoever. You have managed to successfully stun it.
Now I am going to drag it away. But how I'm going to do that? Wait, I would like to explain how I'm going to do.
Okay, go ahead.
I am going to take off my outfit because I will not be able to maintain it. I do keep extra outfits with me because of this reason in my pack. Mm-hmm. I take off my outfit and I just goo envelop the skeleton and walk off with it inside of me.
It's super gross and I love it. I'm gonna say that Fizz doesn't even really raise an eyebrow. They seem to just, as if this was normal for Fizz, just accept this and just kind of usher you into like the forest and underbrush area. And you see that he very quickly just grabs the equipment and the items that you're wearing and shoves that into like one of his bags, so that you leave no trace of yourselves behind. He follows you into the forest, but about 6 seconds later, the creature comes out of its stunned form and tries to fight you. I need you to make an opposed grapple check with me.
All right. That is not going to be
good.
So
that is either...
acrobatics?
Yep, you can choose either athletics or...
Acrobatics?
No, you're the one trying to hold on, so I believe for you that's athletics? No, you're a plasmoid. Fuck it. Yeah, let's do acrobatics.
Oh, acrobatics, because I have very bad. My strength is -1.
I know.
Wow, that is not good either. 10.
The creature basically lifts its kind of shakes around, and it lifts its bones completely clear of one part of your form and begins to like slowly pull itself out. And it turns in spot as it has broken free from your grapple. And you can see that if a skeleton could look angry, it really does look angry. And it goes to attempt to basically wail on you. All right, let me do an attack. For a 14 versus your armor class.
It does not hit.
Nice. It just like completely skims past you. It doesn't even make any real contact with your form at all.
As a defense mechanism, I become a full puddle of goo. It is like it's like an instinct.
All right, because we already set up what this shit is going to be. On instinct, you just turn to goo.
On pure ancestral instinct, Alix goes ah, and then just like fully turns into a puddle of goo.
in that case, on the whole instinct thing, as this creature, a skeletal hobgoblin, turns to basically attack you, Fizz goes in to get in the way to attack, but he doesn't realize that you would have turned yourself into goo, immediately steps forward at full pace and just slips and completely 180 flips on the floor, just in front of this skeletal creature. Who lifts its skeletal arms, looking very, very annoyed, if one could, at this puddle of Alix with Fizz, kind of laying on his back, what? Oh my god. And the creature smashes down hard into Fizz's face.
No, not my knight.
And you hear this kind of crack of bone upon face, and then you hear this kind of muffled coming from Fizz as you hear his nose crack and his nose break. What do you want to do now?
I am going to gather all of myself up on top of Fizz and reform and unarmed strike.
Yep, go ahead.
I don't weigh nothing, I'm just goo. So it's a 23.
That hits.
For 4 bludgeoning damage. And I'm going to hold on. What are skeletons? What is it called? What's the opposite of resilience? What?
Vulnerability.
Vulnerable to 5e. Bludgeoning. They're immune to poison, so I'm not going to do that. Their vulnerability is bludgeoning, so I guess I'm not going to do a Draconic Strike because it doesn't make any difference.
No. But you can, as a bonus action, hit him again.
And I will!
Yes!
For 21, for 5 extra bludgeoning damage.
Perfect. How do you end this hobgoblin?
I punch him directly through the skull.
You punch directly through the skull, and as you pull your arm back again, as you pull your form back again, the creature just falls to pieces. Some of it falling on top of your form, some of it just crashing quite heavily into Fizz's shins. But yeah, this creature is in pieces around you. The other 5 creatures have walked off into the night. And Fizz is there just clutching his nose. And there is blood pouring everywhere out of him.
Oh my god. Sir Fizz, are you okay? Are you all right? I do not have anything that I can use to heal. I think maybe I have a potion, but perhaps in my bag.
He kind of does that thing where he's sitting up and he's waving you away, and he's saying something in Goblish which is unpronounceable to my human tongue. And yeah, you think it's maybe a string of well-placed curses. But he kind of looks up again. His hands are just over his nose, over his mouth, and you could just see the blood just pooling and dripping. And he just looks at you and through muffled sounds in Kino Common, he says, "Sorry, Alix. Sorry. Oh, bloody hell. Oh my god. All right, Alix. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I think we need to heal her.
Do we need to set your nose?
I don't know. Does it look bad? And he pulls his hand away, and his nose is just almost squashed and flattened. You can see that his lip is completely busted. He looks like an absolute mess, and he just doesn't seem to be stopped bleeding at this point.
It is. I think that something must have punctured because you are bleeding very heavily from your nose, and I do not think that is normal.
Again, he puts his hands back over his nose. He's just you can see his eyes are streaming. He's all right, Alix, I think we gotta go to a healer.
I think we do.
I think we gotta go to a healer.
But I think that something has punctured inside of you.
Oh, I don't feel good. oh, and he kind of like, he tries to like, he puts his dragon pole in the ground to like steady himself and pull him back up to his feet, but he looks like almost like he's going to pass out. Like he's very, very pale and there's lots of blood pouring from him still.
Would you like to, if I can put you inside of me and walk us? It will take a little longer, but you don't have to walk. You will be gooey.
I'm not sure I want to do that, Alix. That seems a little bit weird for me, but I'll tell you what, if I pass out, you're more than... And he just passes out.
I am more than what?
He's just laying there unconscious.
All right, well, I am going to do it then, I guess. And I envelop him inside of my gooey form, and I am like, there is so much human blood. There is so much goblin blood inside of my beautiful, beautiful plasma.
It's a mixture of green and red now, is what we see as Alix makes the way. It's a couple of hours walk. He seems to have like stabilized. He's definitely alive, but he's not conscious. The kind of the pour of blood has begun to like slow immensely over the next like hour or so.
I also want to make sure that I say that I open a little hole inside of me near his mouth so that he can breathe and is not suffocated by my goo.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like otherwise that would be bad. And if we just get there and they'd be like, why is this person suffocated to death by green goo?
They're just like, why this? You actually very quickly manage to make your way back towards the town. It's a couple of hours, but he seems to be at least, continuing on. It's not, he's still bleeding, but nowhere near as much as he was before. And you make your way back to the town, which is like really close to where your dragon order is normally situated. It's a small town called Vendove. And Vendove is just your typical little town. It has walls made of stones, and there are always people on patrol. And it's kind of like mid-morning sort of thing when you arrive, and very quickly they see you arriving. They know you. They also know Fizz fairly well. Fizz coming here fairly often for supplies and rumors and to stock. And they very quickly take him and they very quickly get him healed back up to the point where he's kind of conscious and awake, and he's like just like trying to figure out what his life means. In this room above an inn called the Broken Hammer, where the healers have taken to heal him, he asks you to come visit him while he's kind of like waking up and coming to. And as soon as you arrive, he says, "You're." Oh, bless be Zero. Thank you. I'm glad you're doing okay. I was very worried when I woke up and you weren't here.
I was just downstairs getting the blood out of me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, do not apologize.
I didn't mean to bleed all over you.
It is, well, not all over me, all of inside of me.
I can't have imagined that being very pleasant. So.
It is okay. I can turn myself inside out and wash. It is not a problem.
I'm very envious of that. Oh, I'm very envious of your lack of bones. And he lifts his hand to his nose. You can see that it's been like pretty well healed over. He has like clearly a salve that has been like bandaged to his like between his nose and the top of his lip.
I had some bones too.
And they like lift up their arm and just like toss up like a couple of like there was like some like little bone fragments from the skeleton like in their arm, and they were like they'd forgotten about it, so they flick their arm and the bone fragments just like fall on the floor.
Oh, you don't see that every day. Oh,
I'm sorry. I do not mean to make you uncomfortable.
I've seen plenty of strange stuff in my life, Alix. That's not the worst by any account. Oh. Well, Alix, what are we going to do with you? And he kind of like taps the end of his bed for you to come sit, and he kind of sits up.
Alix comes and sits down and is like,
I do not know what you mean. Do you not want me to be your companion anymore?
It's not that, Alix. I told you earlier that this is probably the last trip for me. I'm getting on a bit too much, and I've lost too much of the faith I had once. I don't think I'm the mentor for you, Alix. I think I can't teach you what you need to know, and I can't keep up with you. I barely managed to keep going at the pace we were, to be honest. I'm not sure I could teach you to be the best Dragon Knight that you could be. I think you're probably going to be a lot better at this than I will be. I mean, you're young, you still believe in dragons, you know, you've seen them, but for me it's our faith. You need someone who can really teach you what it's like out there now, who can really show you the right path, and I thought I could help. I know there aren't that many Dragon Knights left in the world, but I know there are some. I think there's a better teacher out there for you, Alix. I can't pass you. I can't make you a Dragon Knight. I can't do any of that anymore. I'm sorry, my friend.
It is all right. I will find a way to become a Dragon Knight. It is my dearest wish and my greatest hope. And I will make it happen.
He looks at you and he smiles. It clearly causes him a little bit of a pain because he's immediately like, oh. He reaches over to the nightstand and he picks up his dragon pole. And he says, this dragon pole was given to me by my mentor. They are a great person. I think they eventually split themselves down into many others. I'm not really sure. They came and went out of my life very quickly. They were a true Dragon Knight. They knew a silver dragon. And that dragon passed on this dragon pole to them. It was blessed by their parents. Pink and green and a pink and red dragon. That's the two dragons that are drawn either side of the center here. And he indicates like the wooden part, top and bottom of the pole. You can replace the wrappings to whatever you like. I like the blue. But you can replace it. It won't affect the magic in it at all. And he flips it over and he kind of like puts it out to you, but he hasn't let go of it yet. And he says, when you come to do the ritual of the Dragon Knight, the chance you get to connect with dragons, to see them, to talk to them, I believe that you'll be a good Dragon Knight, and I believe that you'll actually see them and you'll speak to them and you'll hear them. I never did. But I'm hoping that you might. And he puts it out towards your form, and he says, I only request that if you do see a dragon, you do actually meet one, and I'm still alive, you just let me know. And he hands the dragon pole over to you.
I take it and I take his hand in mine and I say,
Sir Fizz, I am going to find a dragon and I am going to bring them to you and we will ride off together before you die, which will be a long time from now. I do not know why you are being so morbid.
I don't know. I'm quite stubborn. And I want to see you become a Dragon Knight.
You'll be the first person I come to when I achieve my knighthood. And we will go out and we will get some sort of a drink together. Downstairs at this very bar.
Okay. If you send me the message, I'll meet you here at the Broken Hammer. And he kind of gives you a really big smile. Good luck, Alix.
Thank you, Surface. Thank you for believing in me.
We find ourselves on the island of Azatlan, just south of Halsif's Island. We meet a new friend, a Leonin named Notch, a dragon knight of the Tawree Soul. We join him first thing in the morning, at the beginning of a day that will finally set the old Leonin on his path to his destiny. Between the continents of Discora and Kino, there is a place called the Olcath Isles. We've been there a few times. We visited Bloodhorn Island, Halsif's Island, but we've never visited Azatlan before. Azatlan is a tiny island quite close to Kino. It is mostly inhabited by Leonins. For you and I, probably people who look a lot like lions. On this island, there is a small group of people who still believe that dragons are real, who still believe that out there somewhere there are dragons that are flying around or a secret hoard of eggs to be discovered. Their numbers are few, very, very few, in fact. But on this island, not only do we have a few dragon knights, but we also have the leader of their cult. Cult is probably the wrong word. They're actually called the Tawree Soul. On this island, we find one Leonin asleep. So, Casey, I'm going to refer to you as Mr. Wayland because we have another player called Casey in this game. So until we get your character, I'm going to call you Mr. Wayland for a bit.
That's fine. Fine with me.
Mr. Wayland, would you be kind enough to describe your character for us?
So Notch is a very large lion, as you would imagine. He is around 7.5 feet tall. And instead of the normal yellow streaks you would see in a normal lion's mane, there are streaks of purple and red, as Notch likes to dye their hair to sort of match a little bit of the dragon inspiration that he has. He has ornamental armor, all of it kind of themed around dragons. He carries a Azatlan, which looks like a scythe with a curved blade with a nice golden hilt with a blue emerald at the very end of it. His helmet has wings that go around and cover most of his face, with the dragon head in the very center, with spikes going along the back. And his shield that he carries has 3 dragons, 2 on the sides, 1 at the top, that sort of etch his ethos of who he follows, the dragons that he sort of relics in the past that he sort of bases his life around. And he's kind of a burly lion. He's got scars here and there from the days where he has combated others. He's kind of a noble lion. And he is kind of a knight in a way.
He's in fact one of the dragon knights of the Tawree Soul. This particular morning, we've had a couple of god deaths at this point. You understand what that is. You've seen the world crack around you. You've seen the blood. You felt the earth shake. This particular morning, you have overnight experienced a very vivid dream. It's not unusual for you to dream of dragons. That's what your entire being is based around for a good portion of it. But this particular night, you see the usual black dragon flying across the sky. You see them interacting with creatures that you have probably guessed look a little like humanoid-looking dragons. You're not entirely sure what they're called. You've never seen them in real life. Perhaps it's a figment of the imagination, perhaps not. But this particular night is the first time you see another dragon. You watch as the black dragon flies across a city that is shrouded in mist. It's very dark. You can see spells going off all around. You see a second dragon, a white dragon. There are many multicolored scales mixed amongst that whiteness. And you sense more than understand that there is a threat below that they are both working on. You feel in your chest, even through the dream, this necromantic energy hit you in the heart, and for the briefest of moments you think you're probably dead. You feel yourself falling down as this dragon falls. And before you hit the ground, you wake up in a cold sweat. So, you're in your home. What's your home like?
Notch keeps a very simple home. He doesn't live there much. He just uses it for shelter and sleep. You could even call it sort of a hut. It's got very practical wood walls that are all lined up vertically. They come to a sort of a thatch roof. Nothing fancy. The door is a bit rickety and on its hinges. So
it's like quite Spartan.
Yes, very much so. There are masonry pots that store little bits of food for the long term, but nothing short of anything that's going to last more than a week. Notch likes to have something that's a little more fresh. They're very carnivorous in their appetite and how they eat. There are not many greens inside these pots.
That's quite understandable. I don't like vegetables either. So, the island of Azatlan, it's not massive, but it's enough to have a couple of small villages around. And the village that you find yourself in, where you call home, is the same place where the other remaining cult members, dragon cult, is sequented. Your island also has the Dragon Viscount, who is actually the leader of this entire group of the Tawree Soul. His name is Parazi. Parazi is quite an old Leonin. He has a mane of black and gold and now has streaks of silver and grey in it. It's rumoured that he saw a dragon as a child, but he doesn't want to talk about it. Perhaps he's being humble, perhaps he's full of shit. Nobody's really sure. He's been gone a fair while, so it's essentially just you and a couple of other cult members in this morning. A couple of other Dragon Knights.
We're not a cult.
Normally... Sorry, order. My apologies, sir.
We're an order, not a cult.
There are only a few orders. A few members of the order. There we go. There are only a few members of the order left in this small village. And you're, in fact, hopefully, the Dragon Viscount shall be returning very soon. So what does a typical morning look like for Notch?
Well, there's a fair bit of grooming. The island is not that clean, so his Notch has to make sure his fur looks nice and clean and groomed. He doesn't much fancy himself like a cat, but that's what you have to do.
Yep, I gotcha.
Drink in the water by the river. Maybe catch a few small vermin just as a morning snack. And maybe repair a bit of the thatch roof that has fallen through from a storm that passed through not that long ago.
That makes sense. As you're up on the roof, like repairing the thatch work, you notice that the blood rain that has fallen from the death of gods has kind of stained some of this thatch.
Damn
just
it!
Right
I just
in
did
there.
This.
A fellow Dragon Knight. She's quite young. She's fairly new. She was kind of one of the last apprentices on this island and has graduated to full-on knight. She's basically an albino. She has no real colouring to her. Her eyes are kind of bright red. She's pretty strong. She's more quick than strong. She kind of leans into that grace more than pure up strength. And she notices that you're up there. Her name is Karnak. And she kind of climbs up to the roof and she's like, "Yeah, right there, Notch. Do you need a hand?"
Yeah. Please grab some more of the hay down there.
All right. She kind of jumps down. She can tell she might be a little bit annoyed because you've seen her climb up to the roof and you send her back down again. She doesn't grumble too much, maybe a purr or two. She comes up and she helps you to begin to lay it down. And she says, "So, Look, since you're the oldest servant knight here, I've got questions.
I might have some answers, but what do you want? What do you want to know?
Have you ever? I mean, I've been having these weird dreams, and I've not had them before all the gods started dying, and there's this dragon, and he's fighting something over a city covered in mist, and I saw another dragon. Like I know. So the ritual, the one that allows us to communicate with the spirits of the Arrow. Sorry.
Have you done the ritual?
I did, but I never saw anything. I didn't get a communication. I know that's not unusual by itself, but I felt like this. I felt like I was a big white dragon, and I was flying around, and I saw another dragon get hit and fall to the ground, I don't know. It felt really real.
You saw it too, huh? You're not the only one. I thought it was nothing. Just another one of my own fantasies. But if you saw it too, that might mean something.
Yeah, maybe. So you saw the white dragon flying across, and you saw the black dragon fall into the sea?
And I felt it in my chest. Yes.
Oh, shit.
Ah.
Do you think this has anything to do with the Viscount going off on his pilgrimage?
Like he actually found something or did something for once? I don't know. I mean, it could be. That's,
Do you think I'd ever be able to go on that pilgrimage? I know I'm new, and I know that the Viscount doesn't really take guests all that much, but have you ever been?
I mean, it's been a while since I've left, but I usually travel alone, but I think, if you saw it too, maybe there's a reason we both saw it.
I'm really worried. I mean, it felt so real, and I've had vivid dreams before. I mean, I've had those kind of dreams before, but this is different. Okay, well, I just...
Well, let's get off this roof for one. Hold on.
Yeah, this is really bloody. How the... Did you not clean this as soon as the blood came down?
I mean, I only am here to sleep. I'm not a big... I don't like the indoors so much. It's a little confining,
I understand. No, sometimes I feel like we're not supposed to live in huts, but also I kind of like my bed. It's super nice. It's better than sleeping on the ground. Anyway, could you please roll me a perception check, please?
It's a 6.
Right, that's So roll 20 is never kind to anyone. It's always quite notoriously low, and I'm glad to see that you're fitting in already.
Not good.
It's not good. All right, let me roll for my girl.
What'd you get, Cornac?
As you two are climbing down the ladder, she kind of stops halfway on the ladder, which kind of almost blocks you from going down. And you can see that she's looking out to the east. And to the east, you see that there is the sea. You can see the high cliffs all around the edge, but you look out east and you don't see anything, but she does. She's like, I think that's his boat.
That's a what?
There's a boat out there. Can you not see it? And she kind of points in where she clearly thinks she knows where it is.
A bar or a boar? I got some hair in my ears.
Oh, okay, just calm down and we'll go to the beach and we'll meet him, all right? Bloody hell. The pair of you make you...
Should I bring armor or something? I mean...
I don't know. Do you fancy attacking the Viscount?
No, you're right.
Okay, yeah. That's maybe just one weapon to be safe. I mean, a good dragon knight is never caught unawares.
All right.
She clearly has what looks like a machete in her boot. It's just right there on the side of her leg. But otherwise, she doesn't bother to put in any extra armor. But it is entirely up to you. You're at your hut. I'm sorry.
I'm bringing the shotel, the fire hanger.
She smiles. You're never bloody without that thing. I should probably learn that, right?
I mean, it's how I cut my meat.
I should probably name my weapon. Is that normal? Do you guys name weapons?
I mean, the more you use it, the more you respect it, the more it respects you. Treat it like another extension of yourself. That's what I do, at least.
I don't know. I kind of she looks at her claws. I'm just I kind of tend to go in more with these that actually are. Never mind. Oh, look, here's the boat. You find yourselves down at the beach area. And you can see that coming into dock is, not exactly a big boat, but a fair sized boat. And it is in fact flying the colours of the Daro Sol. And stepping off this boat is the Leonin you recognise as the Dragon Viscount. With him, there is also what looks like, and you probably would have seen them once or twice in your travels, a half-elven man who's wearing a green cloak, and he has a goatee of sorts. And he cuts quite an imposing figure. He clearly has a lot of magic about him. You can feel the almost electrical cracking off of him, denoting he's probably quite a powerful magic user. And you also note that stepping off this boat with them is another Dragon Knight. It's not one that you recognise. This Dragon Knight is human. You can tell that they're about 6 foot something, but all their features are obscured. They're wearing a helmet which seems to cover most of their face. They're wearing these kind of leather-looking armor. It's not quite as strong or as tough as yours, but it clearly does the job. And you notice that as they kind of lift their arm to scratch the back something, you can see that there are clearly runes along their arms which denote them also as some kind of magic user. But they're also carrying what looks like a greatsword.
Barazi! How long has it been?
It's been too long, my friend. And he goes over and he kind of puts a hand out to shake.
What news you bring? And who are these fools?
Be kind to our guests. This is the Honourable Dacian, and he points at the half-elven man. He is a powerful ally in our quest for seeking dragons and dragon eggs. And this here is another Dragon Knight we have met during our travels.
Looks like he's in need of an upgrade, too.
This is Lemslar. He is a human. Fortunately, he does not understand our language yet.
But he follows the ways, at least, so I guess they're all right.
He does.
Give me some paw.
He shakes your hand. He to your grip, he actually feels a little bit weaker than he did before. It might be the old age settling in. It might be that he's just come off a very long boat journey, or he may have had some of his energy sapped. You're not 100% sure. All right, let us return to the village and get these two set up with a place to stay. I have news of our travels.
Well, I mean, they could stay in my hut, but I don't think they're going to like it.
No one wants to stay in your hut, Notch.
Oh. Well, they can stay with this one, then. I heard she's got a bed. I just sleep on the floor.
Hey, I'm not sure. I mean, as the lowest ranking member of the Order, I, of course, humbly offer up my abode to our guests. Hate you, Notch. And with that, like the group, they you return back to the village. Everyone else who was on the boat, who is basically the sailors, the crew, they don't come from your village per se. They come from another place on Azatlan. And they go about tying up the boat and taking various supplies off, but there really aren't that many.
Are they one of the lion people, or are they human, or? Yeah,
most of the crew are Leonin. Basically, the only people on this island who aren't Leonin right now is the half-elf named Dachin and the human named Lemsla.
So they're a bunch of cubs.
Sea-loving land cubs. Anyway, a meal is very quickly rustled up. Quarnak very quickly puts something very simple together for the travelers who've just got off the boat. And you kind of just end up sitting and talking and meeting in basically the meeting hall. It's not a very particularly big building. In any other place, this would be the tavern. But since this group of you is currently only the three of you, it's just kind of more a place like a living room, per se.
Is it better than my hut?
Oh, 100%. I think almost everything is better than your hut, bar one bar in Kino.
Oh.
Parazi, after he's eaten and drunk a little, he says, Notch, Quarnak, Lemsla, I don't really have much time for settling back down. Unfortunately/fortunately, I have a new lead for you.
Ha ha! I was hoping so. When I saw those sails.
You mean when I saw those sails? I mean, yep.
Easy, little one. I was hoping we'd be getting out of here soon. I don't like to let my seeds sow.
Yes. I understand such a longing. I was very much the same when I was but a dragon knight also.
I don't much like seeds anyway, but, you know. So where are we going?
Upon my pilgrimage, my travels around, other than finding Lemsla here, I spoke with a seer, an old kobold. As we know, many of them still retain legends and stories of the old dragons. Some of the information we had been operating on had not been correct. The ritual of the Dragon Order, we had not been performing it exactly correctly. Too much time has passed between a living dragon and ourselves to have all the correct information, to be doing it correctly. We must perform this under the midday sun and not the midnight moon.
My life is a lie. I mean, I will follow your lead. Well, what about this one? We gonna include her?
I'd like to go.
She did have a vision like I did recently.
At that point, the half-elven man, who has not really said much, but he kind of like leans forward a little and he steeples his fingers just very subtly. And in almost perfect Leonin, he says,
You had visions?
Yes.
Vision of what, might I ask?
A great white dragon over a city of mist. And we were one with the dragon. She and I both had the same. This must mean something.
At this, Dachin turns to look at Parazi and says,
Oh. It appears that what you have said is true. There may well be dragons left in this world.
Oh, yes, of course. My faith is not put blindly. Anyway, the three of you, and indicates each of you dragon knights, perform this ritual in the midday sun today. And you should receive word on the whereabouts of these dragons you're talking of, the white dragon. Of perhaps where the eggs are, which is quite important. If we can be at the forefront of raising new dragons, that would be everything we've ever dreamed of, would it not?
This, I mean, I don't know this guy. I have my doubts, but I have my faith. If you say that there could be dragons out there, then I say we go. But at the same time, I've heard this before. I don't know what you've seen, but until I see those wings against the sky, I will have my doubts.
Well, what if I were to tell you that...
And he turns and looks at you, Dachin, the elven man. Sorry, half-elven man, says...
When apocalypses are written about, that dragons often feature quite heavily. To me, this is no surprise.
All right. How close are we to midday?
You would probably judge like maybe an hour.
All right. Gather the rest. Let's see if this works.
Awesome. You grab your supplies, which for you, I believe, is your shield, since that's the one that has the most import for your focus, I guess, being the class that you are. For Karnak, hers is actually a bracelet. On it, you can see that it is made of some sort of leather. It's not dragon, before we even get there. It's of some sort of leather, most likely cow or some such. And you can see that etched into the surface, burnt even, is one of the dragons. In the Tawree Soul, it most recently has been following the family of Arrow. Sero, Jero. I'm going to mispronounce Sarah and Sero. Since they both begin with a sound, or I might be very wrong.
She has a red dragon?
Yes.
Okay.
She has the red dragon. So yes, she has a carving of Darrow. The Tawree Soul mostly follow the Arrow family of dragons, which is the last lineage of the dragons that are kind of known at large, to those who still believe. Zero being the black dragon, who is the planner. Jero being the blue dragon, who is basically the face and the deceiver. Sero, the yellow dragon, known as the healer. And Darrow, the red dragon, known as the powerhouse, the fighting strength. But she has Darrow.
I haven't noticed that bracelet before. Where'd you get that?
Well, I got it a few years ago. It was the last thing I did before I found it amongst, some of the bones down there. It was much, much, much bigger, but clearly this is magic, so it shrunk on my wrist. I don't know. I just found it, I guess. And she kind of pulls her shirt over it a little bit just to kind of hide it. She doesn't want to tell you the whole story, but it is up to you if you want to push. Well, I've got my relic. You've got yours. I wonder what the old humans brought with them.
Probably problems. That's what humans do.
Whenever they pass through here, it's always a bit of a scuffle.
Do you trust them?
Do I trust the Viscount? Is this a test? Because I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say.
The elven man. And that other human, the Dragon Knight that came with him. Or is he leading our man astray? Our Viscount astray.
I don't know if I trust them.
They come to our island with their magic. Tell us that we've been doing things wrong. I don't know what this means.
I'm not trying to be a dick or anything, but that magic guy, that Dacian, whatever you call it, there's something about him. It might just be because I'm not used to being around magic users and that's just how they all are, but just something set my senses off and I don't like him. Maybe I'm just being, we haven't had much success so far. I've never heard anything from the ritual, so maybe we are doing it wrong. Maybe we're just sticking to tradition for no reason.
I wonder how the Viscount met these strangers.
Me too.
We could always ask, but I don't want to do it in their presence. I don't know. They might have a hold on the man the Viscount in some way.
I could set up a distraction, get the others away from him. You know the Viscount better than I do.
If you can do it before our ritual.
You're giving me 10 minutes, thanks. That's a great mission. With that, she just kind of turns on her heel and she just kind of sprints off. If she was the sort of lass that would give you the middle finger as she ran, she'd clearly be doing that. But you just get that.
Thanks for the middle claw.
Yeah, exactly that. With most of the kind of rank and file of the order kind of assembled around this kind of circle that has been set up with these kind of almost brilliant white stones. They're not chalk, they're something else. They're something shiny. I'm not a geologist, I don't know. They're white rocks. They've been laid in a circle where you would normally perform your rituals. Most of the rank and file is there, but you also notice that kind of as she kind of walks out, she just kind of heads in the direction of the half-elven man who's trying to make his way to watch the ritual. And she just kind of begins talking to him and just steps in front of him every few seconds. And you can suddenly see that she's trying to put the charm and put the moves on him, which is immediately blocked. But she's doing a good job of just being in the way.
Aye. Good. She's doing what she's supposed to do.
She is a good distraction. Parazi kind of walks over to where you are and keeps glancing up at the sun and keeps looking over at where the other Dragon Knight is. The human male is very, very close. The other Dragon Knight is very, very close, but he's not doing the ritual the same way that you would. He doesn't seem to have a relic. He just seems to be closing his eyes, almost as if he's meditating. You've probably met an elf or two and you know that they tend to meditate instead of sleeping. He seems to be doing that but standing up. There's something odd about what he's doing. But yeah, otherwise you kind of do have a bit of a moment with Parazi if you need it.
Parazi, over here.
You're cutting it fine.
Say, I don't know where you met these, but I feel uneasy about this. How did you meet these two?
I met them in Discora, on the northern shorelines. There is a place called Little May. It's long abandoned now, but there is evidence of Dragonborn. The village was in ruins. There was a pit, a pile of long charred corpses. I met Dacian there.
You met them on a field of battle, where you saw corpses and dead, and thought them friend?
The corpses were long dead, son.
And you brought them back here because of our magic, so that we can be used by them?
I brought them here because after weeks of travel and talk with the half-elf, I discovered him to be a friend. someone interested in finding dragons and bringing their light back into our world.
Could I have you roll a insight check for me, please?
I was going to see if I could use divine sense as well to see if there's any sort of senses going off. You want me to roll a what?
An insight, please.
Insight. Oh, Jesus.
It is the is he full of shit? Is he hiding anything roll?
8.
Oh, mate.
I mean, my insight's a +0, so there we go.
Oh, mate, that's hard.
Can I use divine sense on top of that, or is that a...
Yeah, if you click your divine sense for me, then I can read it and we can figure out how to apply it to the situation. Holy shit. So divine sense, the presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor, and powerful good does, the heavenly music stuff. As an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of you that is not behind total cover. You know the type or being whose presence you sense, but not its identity. Okay. Wow. How do you do that? How do you activate this? Because I will give you what the answer is, because this is dope.
I hold my shield and channel what divine senses I can pull through it from the 3 dragons as an inspiration to find and see past what's on the other side of the shield.
That's perfect. Your shield becomes a bit like a beacon, becomes a bit like a searchlight. And as you turn it across, you sense that the human it's just a human. He's not a being. He's not a this, that, or the other. He's just human. But you also kind of get like an uneasy feeling, like all the hairs in the back of your neck have gone up. But as soon as you turn it in the direction of your friend Karnak and of Dachin, it's almost like you have been punched in the face repeatedly. It is like someone has got like a really big crowbar and just smacked you straight in the face and then in the gut. It's very visceral feeling. This, if you hadn't noticed, is a really bad feeling.
Oh, no.
But he doesn't register as a fiend. He doesn't register as a demon or an undead. He doesn't even register as anything celestial. Whatever he is something you have never experienced before in your life.
Oh, no. What is this? Who is this man?
He is Dachin.
Are you sure? He is not half-elf as you think. I've used my sense.
He looks over him. He looks back at you. Can you make a persuasion roll for me, please? Fingers crossed it's not terrible. Come on.
Persuasion.
Please,
See what we
persuade me.
17.
Oh, God damn it. Yay. It's not terrible.
I'm good with my lion tongue.
He looks at you and you get a momentary flicker across his face that says he knows something is wrong, but he is powerless.
He is more than he appears to be.
We should not be doing this with them. We're opening the door into our world. We're being used.
He basically puts a hand towards you as if he's like about to give you some like sage advice, but then he kind of drops something on the floor, and as he bends down, he very quietly mutters in a way that nobody else can see or hear him. He says,
"The ritual is not a lie, but yes, they are using us, and there is nothing I can do."
And he looks up at you. And he puts a hand back on your shoulder as he gets back up to deposit, the sage advice. And he says,
"Whatever you see in your vision, it belongs to you."
And he looks very pointedly.
Go prepare.
He nods.
I must talk to Kornak.
You must hurry. The window for performing this ritual is soon approaching.
And you see that he goes off to basically talk with the human that has arrived. Although the human's doing a fantastic job of just ignoring him and meditating. You head over to Karnak, who is still trying to get into Dacian's way, but he seems to be like at the end of his tether with this right now. Yeah, that's what you come to when you arrive.
Karnak, come here. We must prepare.
I was like, okay. Apologies, Dacian. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. My bad. Hopefully, see you on the flip side. She's doing it where she's walking backwards, but like accidentally treading on people's toes. Like she's a little bit graceful, but not. And she turns and looks at you, and she walks over to you. So you're good to go. Claps her hands together.
Karnak, something's wrong with this. I've seen it. I know it. That thing you just spoke to. I don't know what it is.
He's a half-elf. He's great. And you can see that she's smiling.
Use your senses. See past what they're giving you. Whatever it is, it's not good. You need to prepare in case this doesn't go well.
What do you mean doesn't go well? And she smiles at you again.
Are you still with me, Karnak?
Of course I am. You know I'll follow you wherever you go.
Can I lay another divine sense to see if she's been bewitched? Or can I do a perception check to see if she's been bewitched?
Yeah, you can either do a perception or an insight or an investigation. Any of those would cover it.
Let's do perception. I'll do perception. Okay. Roll a perception. 11.
You know her fairly well, I guess, at this point. You can see that there's something wrong with her eyes. Rather than kind of like the reddish color that they normally are, you notice that there is flickers of green and brown in it. And as you look over at Dacian, you realize that they are very similar colorings to his own.
No. Karnak.
I grab her bracelet and hold on to it and try and activate it.
Okay. How are you going to do that?
I have lay on hands, which is a blessed touch that can heal wounds.
Dope.
So I'm trying to heal her wounds using her own device on her wrist to pull her back to me.
Okay. What am I going to have you roll for this? This is awesome.
Is it persuasion?
No. Well, it kind of would be, but it was also like there's a degree of like. I'll tell you what. I'll have her roll a saving throw.
Okay.
So she is going to roll charisma. Now, you're a paladin, which means that you basically emit an aura, which is good for your buds, and it gives them a bonus to their saving throws based on your charisma score. So what is your charisma score?
16.
So that means that she has a +3 to her roll. I'm going to give it to her at advantage because you're helping her out, and this is really dope, and I want it to work. Fuck me.
No.
You sense that there is like the barrier that she's trying to overcome is too strong. And you can see it in her eyes. For the briefest moment, you see the bright red that is her albino eyes. You see that, and they look worried, but they're not scared.
No. I'm alone. I have no one here.
I'm sorry.
Karnak.
We should probably do the ritual. That's the right time now, isn't it? And she kind of looks up and is again smiling.
What do I do? Notch. You have no one left here. You are alone. Oh. Do I work with them to find my way? I can't. I can't help them. Not like this. It's not my way. I won't participate.
That is your way. Whatever you decide, I will still try the ritual. You don't have to be here. And it looks like she's in genuine physical pain just trying to get those words out.
I excuse myself from the ritual and slowly slink away towards the river.
Make a stealth roll.
9.
Oh boy, howdy. So that was a stealth check at disadvantage because you're wearing a particular type of armor, which makes it really difficult to sneak. You notice that as you're trying to get away from this, unfortunately you were right in the center of everything. 2 dragon knights are really difficult to miss in this particular place. Almost all the eyes are upon you, especially as the midday sun was coming. As you attempt to excuse yourself, the half-elf man just
Are you not staying? Are you not listening to the words of your Viscount?
And he takes a few steps forward. And the rest of the rank and the file just go very quiet. And you see that Karnak right next to you, she is kind of you can see that there are just, although she has a forced smile on her face, you can see there's a line of tears rolling down her face.
Me? No. I just, I need to get something to help channel the magic better. I have my shield, but you see, I'm missing a piece of my armor that's going to help. If I don't have that, I'm not going to have a clear vision. And I want this to work for the best of us. For the dragons, yes? For the dragons. Even Karnak knows. Right, Karnak?
She's You dick, this is great. We all need our relics, no matter what they are. That's true.
Very well, but you must hurry.
I will make haste. I see the sun is almost upon us.
Right, and that means I should probably start my ritual. Excuse me. And she kind of steps into the center and she sits cross-legged on the floor, best that she can. And you can see that she's holding her bracelet kind of eye level with her, and she seems to be very much concentrated, and you begin to hear the words of the ritual coming from her mouth. Yeah, you can now freely escape from this situation because that was too good.
Before I leave, I look back.
Yeah.
Remember Saro. Channel the yellow dragon. Remember Karnak. That's your way. To find your way back to me.
She looks up and she looks you in the eyes, and for a moment her eyes go bright red again and she blinks very heavily once. All right. You're fleeing, I'm guessing. Where are you fleeing, my friend?
I'm headed to the boat. I'm GTFOing off the side.
That's great. We don't need to roleplay this bit. It's very easy for you to find a boat. It's very easy for you would know how to basically row a boat between here and some of the other smaller islands. It's a bit
How
of a
much
struggle.
intimidation do I have for these cubs that were sailors? Because I am a folk hero.
You are a folk hero. They would know you and they would recognize you.
Would they be loyal to
intimidate
me?
them at all? Well, now that depends. Roll a persuasion check for me.
9. God damn it.
You get the feeling that they're more loyal to the island than they would be to an individual person. Apart from their captain, the captain of the boat. That's a very different bond, but yes. Alas, your movements, they would be known if you take or go with them.
I'm taking my own boat. I don't like the water. Felines in water don't work. But I will make it across my own. I'll go to the hidden boat that no one knows about. No one knows about.
You managed to get off the island absolutely fine. You managed to make it to the mainland of Kino absolutely fine.
Oh, I hate the water. Oh,
I have a question.
Land. Oh, stretching my paws. Massaging the dirt.
I have a question for you. I'm imagining that bit from Robin Hood Men in Tights where he's kissing the dirt and just like spitting it everywhere. Sorry.
Cleaning my fur. Getting that salt off my fur.
All right. My question. Would you attempt the ritual now that you are alone and traveling, basically without Daichin or the other guy or Parazi or Cornac following you?
Can I throw something out?
Yeah.
Can I see the dragons starting to glow slightly as a sign, knowing that they want to talk to me?
Yeah. You actually get this fairly frequently. As soon as you kind of leave the island, as soon as you start heading, you notice that like the eyes are glowing when they never did before. As you kind of like hit the mainland and like head in different directions, you start going south and the lights die and you're like, oh, well, actually there's a town up there, and you go north and you see the lights and their eyes are beginning to glow again. Like, yeah, there is something happening with them.
Darrow, Jero, Zero, give me the sight that I need. Let me know what I need and the path that I must follow, as I am truly alone now.
In the middle of a forest, when you basically do this, I'm just going to push us towards where we need to be. In the forest, kind of a little north of where you land, and you do this as you basically put your plea out into the ether to be heard. As you lift your shield, you begin to see this figure, as if they were an illusion, just kind of project forward, and they walk out of the beams of your shield like they are there, but they are definitely an echo. You would know that these dragons, the three brothers, the three siblings of the Arrow family, were killed by their sister Zero. These are but remnants, shadows, echoes, without the voice. The yellow dragon, Zero. The three brothers take on a humanoid form. They look Leonin to you. You know that dragons were reported to be able to do this, to take a humanoid form, whatever they be. And Zero steps forward. The others kind of disappear into mist, their voices just echoing away. And he says,
"You are alone."
Not like I haven't been before. But I need to know. What is it you've been trying to tell me?
Our sister, she who slayed us. She was in turn killed by another of our kind. But she left behind a clutch of eggs. They are in the humming forest, deep within a series of caves. Do not let these fall into the blissful Eclipse's hands. Destroy them if you must. Not one bone, not one egg, not one dragon can fall into their hands.
You leave behind remnants of your species, and you wish me to destroy it?
Better that than our legacy falling into darker hands once again. We three brothers fought for good.
If it is your will, the will of the dragon, I am bound to your guidance. But I ask one thing.
Ask.
Protect Kornak. For she is perhaps more important right now than ever. I feel she may be the last on the island with any hope. I saw it in her eyes.
We are dead. We cannot help her. But she will be able to help herself if you have trained her correctly.
Well, when you put it like that, thanks, dragons. You never were short on the tongue, were you?
Our shield will guide the way to the clutch. What you do with the eggs will be up to you. For we are dead and long gone, and our opinion matters not.
Can you please roll a perception check for me?
Shit. 20! Ha ha ha!
Damn, son. All right, let me quickly roll the opposing check. Oof, sorry, bud. As you are talking to this projection in the middle of the forest, you hear not only the humming of the forest, which is where the forest got its name, you hear a crack of a twig. And it's just behind you. It's a very soft footfall. But as you turn and look, you see the human with his sword. And you see that he has it in such a manner that he is about to strike you. All right. We're going to do an initiative roll, which, because we don't have tokens, because we don't have maps and minis, you just need to click the dexterity button.
14.
So that was a saving throw. You just need to click the other dexterity.
Got it.
Yep.
9.
Oh, no. All right, let me quickly
I won't say that I wasn't expecting this.
Yes. Let me quickly bring up the character sheet I am using as a stand-in. So, unfortunately, the human dragon knight, Lemslar, he got way higher in the initiative, so he gets to go first. He pulls out his sword and he aims it for basically trying to go for your back, but also you've managed to kind of turn and maybe raise your shield, and he basically slashes at your chest area. All right. Does a 21 beat your armor class?
Yes.
Okay. He pulls out the sword and he slashes at your chest for 19 slashing damage. He's going to use his bonus action, because his sword is quite magical, and you can clearly see that. And he's going to cast a hold person on you. So what I need you to do is make a particular kind of save. He slashes down at your chest for 19 slashing damage. And as he impacts against your chest, he uses one of the magical abilities on his sword, and you suddenly feel like your body is about to be frozen in place. Can I please have you make a wisdom saving throw?
4.
Oh,
no.
Damn. So any saving throw that you make, you always add a +3 to, because you're a paladin. You're a good special kind of paladin.
7.
Which still is not enough, I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
You feel your entire body go rigid. Like, you just cannot move it at all. He walks over and smiles. You can make, like, grunts, but that is kind of literally the extent of what you can do. He walks over, he puts the sword back on his back, and he only has to hold you in place for maybe 30 seconds, and he undoes the bindings on your arm, and he removes your shield.
No.
He says something to you in Discora Common, because he's human. You have no idea what he's saying. And with the rest of the time that he has on hold person on you, he draws a rune on the ground, and he completely encompasses you in it. And he gives you a smile, 2 thumbs up, and he hightails it in the direction that your shield was beginning to glow, direction that it was pointing towards.
5 seconds and I've already failed? Dragons. No wicked sense of humor.
As the spell drops off, you find yourself standing in the middle of this 30-foot diameter rune that has been drawn on the ground all around you.
Am I stuck?
Well, could you roll an Arcana for me? You would know bits about magic.
16.
Yeah, you know enough that if you move in this before this naturally wears out, and you don't know how long that might be, this will explode in your face. And this is not a low level, a party popper went off and I'm kind of scared. No, this is a full-on, fireball.
I channel divinity.
Okay.
If I can. To help me.
Your connection to channel divinity, tell me what that's doing.
I'm trying to channel my shield, even though it's not on my body anymore, to deactivate and not work for the other person that's stolen it. Because if I can't use it, I don't want them to have it either.
All right. Okay. In that same kind of reaching out into the ether that you did previously when you were basically hey, guys, a little help here, you don't feel the same 3 respond to you that you did when you were trying to channel into the shield, when you're trying to basically talk to them. It's like another voice has answered, but you don't know what they're saying and you don't know what's going on, but you feel that kind of deep reverberation in your chest, and it feels exactly like the dream that you had before. Like that black dragon that you were dreaming of being around, watching through all these years. You feel like that is answering your call. And very far off in the distance, you just hear a very human voice be slightly irritated.
Last laugh. You are no dragon knight.
Now, with your permission, Mr. Wayland, I would actually like to leave you in the middle of this giant rune.
God damn it. I'm gonna get out of here somehow.
We meet back up with Tawree many days after she left us on Helsif's Island. Having made it to the mainland with her companion Sarissa, we find the pair of them in the forest as they talk about life, family, and the state of the world.
It's been a few weeks since we've seen Tawree. Last we saw Tawree would have been on Helsif's Island, leaving with Sarissa to go search for dragons. Under the guide of Ortrub, who's trying to turn you into a badass dragon slayer, and Sarissa, who is attempting to find dragons for reasons that she hasn't exactly disclosed. You find yourselves walking through a forest. The leaves and the bushes, they rustle in such a way that it creates a musical sound. The wind passing through the boughs at the top are clearly magically inclined as these melodies of instruments that could not possibly be recreated in nature come through. The birds, the animals add their own beats, their own melodies to this. And you can very quickly understand why this place is called the Humming Forest. It's fairly early in the morning. You two have been traveling for maybe maybe an hour or two after breakfast. And what stretches out before you is more forest. You see Ortrop just kind of happily just bouncing along ahead of the pair of you. He hasn't really said much recently. He hasn't really given any guidance. And he's not leading the way exactly. He's just around, exploring this area, a place he may or may not have been to before. What are you up to?
I think she would probably be like having chit-chat with Zarissa at this point, because Ortrop is obviously not talking to her.
Ortrop is obviously like quite uncomfortable being around Zarissa. It might be because she's a paladin of Torm. Not really sure.
Remind me what Torm is?
Torm is the god of justice. So she is a paladin of such.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I imagine they are just having like chit-chats about their Zarissa's siblings and Tawree's children and like all the stuff they've been doing in the past few days while they were gone. But considering that we've been on the road for a few weeks, so it would probably be more, so what do your siblings like to do in their spare time, or like...
Yeah, so did you study lutes at school or something? Hair twirling, all that good stuff. Yeah, like the pair of you are getting on fairly well at this point in the morning. She's been a very easy travel companion. Mm-hmm. Someone very comfortable, very easy just to get on with. And the moments when either you're a little bit stressy because you haven't slept enough, haven't eaten enough, and just need something else, just chill, just understanding, give space.
I also think Tawree would ask her a little bit, because she knows that Zarissa is a little bit more knows a little bit more about dragons. She would also ask her about can you tell me a little bit more about dragons? I only heard about them from Ortrop. We saw one in the forge, and that's about all I know about them.
You actually would have seen two. When y'all went to rescue Alix, you would have seen Wuranwa, and you would have seen Darek as well.
But
let me
wasn't
open up.
Varunwa only flying over the city?
Yeah, so he was flying over it.
That's not a lot of I can solve from that encounter.
I saw a shadow.
That could have been anything. A very big bat.
Yes, I know a little bit, actually. My parents used to belong to a group called the Tawree Soul. They are, I guess you would call them a cult. They like to think of themselves as an order, but not really. There used to be families of dragons, spread all over, doing different things, having their own agenda. The Tawree Soul, they worshipped particular families of dragons. Most of them, from what I understand, had good intentions. They wanted to plan and get good information before starting anything. Others wanted to talk, negotiate. Others wanted to just be healers. There were some even who just wanted to be strong, to protect people they cared about or such like. But like everything, there is always the darker side of such. It is the strong enough to protect yourself and strong enough to take what you want. It is the powerful enough to heal the people you care about and hurt the people you don't. Persuade people or deceive them. The dragons could be very extreme. But they were mostly all wiped out. There was a family. I'm sorry, this was a very long time ago for me. There was a family, Arrow. I believe there were 4 siblings, and one of them, she was the biggest of the 4, and she killed the rest. She was herself believed to be mortally slain by another dragon who unfortunately was also killed by her in the struggle. And that is the last of the dragons that we knew about until the one that you saw in the forge.
Do you... Why are you looking for a dragon? What are you looking for in them? Are you Sorry, did you say that she was in a cult or her family was in a cult?
Her parents.
Yeah. Are you looking for them for the cult?
No. Oh, how do I explain this? You may have noticed there were some very powerful people on Hellsif's Island.
Yes, I noticed. They were very strong.
They are, in all different ways. Red Knight, they are a great protector. They protect, but also allow negotiations. I don't understand their particular power. There is the one who is often an orc. She's a powerful magician. There is me. I am strong. I like to think of myself as true and honest.
You are
there are others.
Very genuine, as far as I could tell from our talks in the last few weeks, if I may say so.
I try not to lie. I try to be honest, and when I see that things are wrong, I try to put them right. The reason doesn't really matter to me. Why did this crop fail? Was it sabotage or was it a blight? It doesn't matter. Let's just try to fix it.
That is a good thought.
I hope so. And when my Lord Tom decides that there is justice to be met out, I will do that too. I believe in his words. So there are a few of us. There are 7 of us, actually.
What do you mean
we
of us?
Have been... She puts her hand to her chest, and you know that she's wearing like one of the onyx items that your sons made. And she says, "Your sons made these for us. It helps us to connect more profoundly with our deities. I trust you, so what I'm about to tell you cannot tell anybody else. I
will not tell anyone.
Thank you. The gods, they cannot leave our existence. They cannot leave our world. But a piece of them can. The very powerful mage, she found a way to get a piece of a god, put them in a person, and get them out. She says it is probably the only way, and I tend to believe her. Without more time, she cannot find a safer option. Not without destroying our world, which is kind of defeating the point of what we want to do. We are hoping that if we communicate with other dragons, beyond the one that apparently some people know, we need more help. And the dragons are very powerful. They have... Their blood alone is very powerful and could help. Apart from the fact that they can be very fierce and they are very powerful. They would be great allies if we could find more. But it is known that there are only 2. I am following a lead from one of the other 7, who says that there may be dragon eggs here in the Humming Forest.
And what are you going to do with those eggs? Like, what is your intention with those eggs?
My job is to find them. If it is possible. And she looks up and makes sure that Ortrub is nowhere near. You know that she also finds him a little uncomfortable to be around. If possible, I will try and find a way to hatch one.
Do you think that can be done within the time span that is until before the... Sorry. Do you think you can hatch them in time before the world ends? That seems like an endeavor that would take a long time.
Honestly, I do not know. I do not know a lot about dragon anatomy or eggs or any of that. I barely remember the cult my parents were in. I left when I was very, very little. I did not want to be there. It was very strange.
That's understandable.
I rescued my brothers and my sister. I rescued my siblings from that. They did not want to be there either. But if there is a way to hatch a dragon egg, or if there are other dragons who are perhaps held in stasis or can be revived, I'm going to go there and I'm going to find out. That is my hope, at least.
I still don't know exactly. I know Ottrup does not like dragons, and I think he might have a issue with what you're about to do. I personally, I think I don't have an opinion yet about dragons. Like, everything Ottrup told me sounds negative, but the dragon we saw at the forge, he was a slave. He did not seem like a bad dragon. He just was rubbed the wrong way, I would say. So
that I would understand.
I think I would like to make
it was not fun being kept in that prison.
Especially not with he was forced to do an action every few minutes, and he could not rest. He had to do it. He was compelled to do it. That could not have been comfortable. I understand that he was peeved, I would say.
Yes, that I understand, but the stories of dragons, they can too, as I said before, be quite extreme. Everything has a positive and a negative side, and some dragons often stray too hard to the negative side.
I mean, I do remember, I don't know if I told you about this, but when I was with the other people in that big city, we saw that big dragon fly over the city, and I think they are. Was it one dragon? Was it just Varunma? You said another name.
It was two of them. One was Ruwanma and one was Dark. Dark being the dragon that you met in the forge. Yeah.
I think they were trying to kill a person that. Oh yeah, it was Kels, wasn't it? Yes, it was. They were trying to kill the person responsible for all of this that is happening right now. So I think they were, in that moment at least, fighting on our side. At least that's what I understood from the companions that were with me when they were talking about the events that were happening.
I think that an apocalypse, it brings many people together, be they on good or bad. One of the seven, Emil, he is not a good person by any stretch of their imagination. The apocalypse, it brings many people together, be they good people or bad people. I mean, Emil, Jandariel, the Mage Lady, they all have pretty dark pasts.
Yes. I would like to see what we are going to face when we are going to face it before I make an uneducated no, cut that.
No, it's okay.
Before I make a decision on whether I want to do what Ottrup wants me to do or not. And like Tawree is basically like saying this in a low tone to Sarissa the entire time because she does not want Ottrup to know.
Yeah, I'd imagine they're both talking like really quiet, like so he doesn't hear. Yeah, Sarissa says, I think I can see a way in which both of us can be happy, but if you want my opinion, perhaps let them live. I understand if you cannot. I cannot ask you to walk the same path that I do.
I'm going to tell you right now, if Ottrup asks me to if we do find eggs and he asks me to break them, I'm going to say no, because those are just children. They're innocent. You and I know best how innocent children have no play in this. They don't deserve that.
You're right. They should have no part of this apocalypse.
If nothing else, then we should at least keep the eggs alive, untouched until, like, let them survive the apocalypse and let them have a new beginning.
Let them try again?
Yes.
Well, we shall. I would like you to roll a perception check, please.
Oh boy. Hang on. I don't...
Oh boy.
Where are the character things? Oh, that's an 11.
Ooh. Well, you don't notice anything of
I'm
any
very
real
distracted by
significance.
the music that Neil is going to put here.
Yeah, it's going to be really beautiful. Yeah. You just kind of don't really notice anything of any real significance. Zarissa says, one of the reasons that I am headed this way, as much as I think that the egg should not be destroyed no matter what, I do know that Kels is trying to find dragons. And for some of the same reasons that I assume I am being sent to find them.
Well,
we have
did
to
say that even their blood is powerful. I imagine someone like her might want to do something with the blood. At least that's my assumption.
Correct. I have to face the fact that the eggs may have to be... that they cannot fall into Kels's hands, no matter what. They cannot fall into the hands of the blissful eclipse or Dacian. None of those things can be allowed to happen.
I don't think Tawree knows the name Dacian.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Who's Dacian?
Well,
it sounded like he was on the same level of a threat as the other two things.
Dacian is... I guess he is acting a bit like me, except for the whole world for the blissful eclipse. He is a scout of the blissful eclipse. We believe that he is here to prepare our world, to prepare it for oblivion. He is here to make sure that we split ourselves apart, and he is doing a very good job at that. And he is here to make sure that our gods die, and he is sadly doing a good job of that. And mostly we think that he is here to make sure that when the blissful eclipse arrives, that their meal is easy to consume.
Oh no.
Kels I believe to be without a conscience, but Dacian, I believe him to be pure evil.
That sounds like someone who should definitely not have put not a finger on those dragon eggs.
Right. He should never find them, ever. What they could do with that, with even just one dragon. Up ahead of you, as you are walking and talking, you kind of more sense than feel that Ortrop has come to a stop. And as you look up to see, you notice that he has stopped dead in the centre of the path. You also notice that the song, the music of the forest, it hasn't exactly stopped, but it has changed. It's kind of almost like there's a discordant melody, or that the music is fleeing and running backwards as if it's trying to get away from one particular spot. And you notice that there is a human man who is standing in the middle of the pathway. He's kind of old.
Where Ottrop is? Like,
yeah, they are like if
face to face.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, if a bun and a human could stare one another down, that's kind of what's happening here.
Ottrop, I chose you.
Go forth. There is a healthy, respectful distance between them.
Okay.
Let's put it like that. It's an older man who has like graying hair, and he seems to be leaning on a walking stick, and he's wearing this like white overcoat, I guess.
Do you see that? What is that?
You notice that Ortrob looks back at you before Zarissa manages to say anything. She has her hand on her sword, but it isn't drawn. It's obvious that she's like clearly quite uncomfortable, and she's taken like half a step in front of you.
Seeing this,
Ortrob
will also like pull out her spoon.
Ortrob turns, look back at you, and he says,
I recognize a lich when I see one. Best be careful around this one.
A lich?
He nods.
Tawree not know a lich?
No. And Tawree is gonna flash a look at Zarissa.
Zarissa looks at you and she says, this is one of... And she takes a breath and she takes a hand off her sword, even though it looks like it's painful for her to have to do this. And you see the man at the other end kind of smile smugly, like, yeah, you better.
Tawree is gonna put put her spoon back, but very reluctantly, and she's still going to be tense. Like she's going to keep a side glance on Zarissa for any signs of aggression. If she makes any move, spoons out.
Zarissa turns and she says, Tawree, this is my colleague. Well, this is Emil.
Oh. She's going to look at the man, and is he looking at us? Like,
yeah.
Is he just staring at us, having that interaction?
He was looking at Ortrob. And then he noticed that you were talking, but it's obvious that he doesn't understand what it is that you're saying. And he's either pretending not to understand you or he doesn't. One of the two. But he is like looking at the pair of you, like kind of puzzled, but with a smug smile. He knows what's coming next. Like, yeah, go ahead, talk.
Tawree's gonna step up behind Ortrob, like very, not casually, but like slowly, trying not to be intimidating or anything, and she's just going to incline her head to Emil.
Yeah, he like nods and smiles, and he casts a spell, and you see like the runes that are like on his hands that begin to glow a little, and there's some light that emits around his mouth, and he says,
"Ah, you must be Tawree. You are Zarissa's friend."
And he puts a hand out to you.
She's going to look at the hand, and I guess she's going to like timidly reach out the hand to him, like very slowly.
Yeah, he very quickly moves to take your hand, and he is incredibly cold to the touch. Like someone has dropped an ice cube into your hand, kind of cold.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pulls his hand away and he says,
"Well, absolutely marvelous meeting you. But I must take Miss Zarissa away, I'm afraid."
Rude. She's going to look back at Zarissa, look at her questioningly, like, is she okay with this?
Yeah, she doesn't look too happy. She steps next to you and she says, "Why, Emil? I am on the same mission as these two to find the,
It has come to our magic mama's attention that she has found the location of the final thing.
And he's obviously, like, trying not to say what.
And we need your help too. Well, I can't make the ground hollow, as you might be able to imagine. But I know that you can, my dear."
And Zarissa looks at him and she says, "Is this important to do right now?" And he nods. And then he says,
"Absolutely. Right now. Before certain other people arrive back. If you understand."
And she nods once. "You will have to give me a moment. I will join you shortly. And she goes to gesture him away with her hands, but she kind of ends up thinking better of it. And so she takes you by the elbow and takes a few steps away from him.
Yeah. Conspiratorially.
Yeah, she says, like, very, very quietly, I will come and find you when I am done with this. This should probably not be more than a couple of days at the most. I'd mostly hope only a couple of hours, but things around Emil and the others tend to get a little lengthy.
Well, if we find the dragon in the meantime, which I don't think we will because we've been in this forest for a while, I think. Did you mention?
Yeah, you've been in the forest for a bit. Yeah.
If I find the eggs, if Ottrup and I find the eggs, I will try to stall, and if we find a dragon instead, I'm not sure I can beat that on my own, so I will try to make... Is Ottrup listening?
I'm gonna say that Ottrup and Emil seem to be communicating. I mean, they're not saying anything out loud, but you do see like
so they're
flashes of light between them. Yeah, they're having like their own I'm going to be a dickhead conversation. While you two off to one side having a normal conversation, yeah.
If we find any dragons, I will try to stall Ottrup and give you time. I hope you can find me within the time span.
She reaches into her bag and she pulls out like this really thin jade bracelet, and she says, "Here, you take this. If you have this on you, I am always going to be able to find it. So if you have it on you, I'll be able to find you. And if you need me, you can break this link." And she points to like one of the links on the chain. And you can see like the smallest, the thinnest, the like tiniest of silver etchings. Unless you knew it was there, you'd never see it was there. And it's like clearly like a magical rune of some sort. And if you break this, you will be able to send me a message. Not many words, but you could do that, and I could come get you. No matter what. No matter what I'm doing, I will come and find you if you break that one. If you send me a message.
All right. She takes the bracelet and puts it on, I guess on the arm that does not have the many colored beads on, not beads, stripes of cloth on it.
Yeah.
All right. I good luck.
You too, Tawree. And if you get stuck, break the link, and I will come find you.
Thank you. And she gives Sarissa like a hug.
Yeah, she gives you a solid hug back.
Nice.
Yeah, she's nice and warm, apart from all the armor.
And she was a tiefling, right?
Yeah, she's a tiefling, yeah.
Do they have scales?
Not really. They're supposed to have skin, but in our world they have like scales around the eyes. But like enough that like you would consider them like beauty marks or something, not functional scales. Just a nod back when I didn't really know what I was doing.
Oh, she's Tawree is going to take one of the colored bands she has around her arm and give it to Sarissa for good luck.
Yeah, she looks genuinely touched, and she ties it around the base of one of her horns.
Aww.
Yeah, she takes that and she kind of like gives her a smile, and she heads off, and she kind of gives Ottrup like a nod, and she takes Emil's hand, and they both kind of disappear into the naval area. The Song of the Forest reacts and kind of like begins to speed up again and catch up to where it once was, as if it's righting everything that was wrong. But here you are, Tawree, alone in the forest with just Ottrup.
She's just gonna sigh, look at Ottrup, and say, "All right, I guess it's just you and me now."
Much better.
So, you haven't really talked to me in the last few days.
I was giving you and Sarissa time to talk. I feel feel like I've had enough attention for a while, and we're just looking for dragons.
Yeah. Then I guess they're gonna continue on their path.
I would like you to please make a perception roll.
Again, perception.
Again.
Oh gods, they're going nowhere. It's a 9.
This has been a staple. These 3 backstory / mid-story episodes. It's just been really bad rolls. Like genuinely crap. Fuck you, Roll20. It's been genuinely crap.
Okay, but genuinely, like, Tawree is used to being in a forest that is usually very quiet, and this forest makes a lot of noise, so she's very distracted. Also, she had good company earlier.
Yeah, and now she just has Audra.
And now she and her thoughts.
9. Okay. You keep walking until probably midday. By the time that you really see anything at all, you probably begin to notice that the trees around you are thinning. Not as in like the trunks themselves are getting thinner, but there's obvious signs that sentience has been managing, controlling them and like cutting some of these trees down. So they're further apart. So you would probably guess that you are getting close to an area where people are or were at least. And as you kind of get deeper into this territory, you can see forward and then see up this kind of hill in an area that's been cleared of trees that there is this small town or village that has been made. It's probably a little bit bigger than your village, so it's not a town. So at most there's probably like 50 people living here. And it's obvious to you that they have built a wall around it that's made of like rocks and like the odd tree trunks, and that it's very obvious to you that these walls are being manned. And as you kind of get closer to it, you realize that Ortrop has kind of come to a stop and that his ears begin to prick up, both of them, and he kind of turns his head and looks towards the east. And he says,
"There's someone hiding there."
Where? What kind of someone?
I think he doesn't belong.
Is he like pointing outside of the village or in the village?
Well, he's actually gesturing outside the village, but as you kind of get closer to the village, you see this kind of green plasmoidy looking creature. This person seems to be about maybe 6 feet tall. They have a tail of sorts, and that their structure is kind of gelatinous, I guess. And although you notice that most of them is this green color, and although they're kind of like transparent, you actually spot this goblin person that seems to be like in their midriff. And it's really obvious to you from even where you are that this goblin has been beaten up and that they're bloody and not looking too good. And it becomes really evident that the guards clearly know the gelatinous creature and the goblin, because they rush over, and the goblin is essentially given up, and they try and help to heal them. But that's actually not what Ortrop is looking at. You can't really see what he's looking at, but you can tell that it's definitely in the forest is where he's observing.
Is that globby creature in the direction where he's looking, or is that somewhere completely else?
No, so that being is actually entering the town itself now.
Oh, so they're having an intruder facing them right now.
No,
Basically.
not quite. They're actually kind of accepting. They clearly know this being. They're like, "Hey, bud, come in. Let's help with that goblin in your midriff." No, they seem to know. They seem to be pretty happy with them.
Oh, okay. Okay, Tawree's gonna be confused by all of that.
It was a very confusing situation that I got left in.
Because that does not look comfortable for either of those creatures, but also, like, Ortrop is looking somewhere else, and, like, she's right now following Ortrop because he's the guide, so she will give the entire scene happening at the gates probably, like, a glance and be like, well, no time for that right now, I guess. And she's gonna, I guess, try to follow where, like, if Ortrop is hopping in that direction, she would follow probably.
Yeah, Ortrop does that thing where he starts to like hop along and realize you're not exactly following, that you were kind of distracted, and he looks back again. And if you decide to move towards the town, then that's where he's going to go. But he kind of senses that you're going to follow along behind him. And so he does like a couple hops in towards where the forest is. And as you follow him into the forest area, you notice that it's getting thicker. The trees and the undergrowth and the brambles, they all begin to like snatch at like bits of your robe and your cloak and such like. And it's definitely getting darker here. And you see this person ahead of you, and they're about 6 feet tall and they have a cloak. And you notice that they have this shield that's on their arm. And on your 9 perception, you can see that this shield has like 3 creatures carved into it. They're very similar design to each other, and they have different colors about them. And you would notice that they have like this red and blue and yellow colors to them. You kind of could have like a good guess on what these creatures might be. They might have elongated snouts, but like on your 9 perception, you don't get like a perfectly good idea. It's more of a guess. And as they raise their hand, you notice that they're definitely not a tiefling, and they're not covered in fur or scales. They're not tabaxi. And you notice as they lift their hand that they clearly have marks of magic on them. It has that very faint glow of runes to them. And you'd probably be pretty sure that they haven't spotted you at this point. And then Ortrop says,
That one is like Gruff. That one is human.
I mean, the person we met earlier was also a human, wasn't he? He did look like a little bit like Graf.
A little.
And also Tawree, like seeing the guy, she's probably going to duck back behind a tree trunk or whatever, or a bramble bush.
Yeah.
Just trying not to get detected because she was not prepared for whatever the fuck that was. She just does not want to get...
Can you make a stealth check for me, please?
Stealth,
please.
Stealth. 16.
Ah, nice. The person looks up and they look in your direction and they yell something in a language that you don't understand in your general direction. They suddenly look like very defensive and they have a hand on their greatsword. And you also notice that as the shield kind of points in your direction that it has like the glowing of like the red, the yellow and the blue on there.
She's gonna peek out from behind the whatever she was, trunk, I guess, and see if the yelling was directed at her.
Yeah, absolutely it was. You can tell that this person is looking in your direction, and that as they spin in place, you can tell that they're definitely human at that point. And as they like turn to look at you, you can tell like their armor has clearly got like dragons engraved into it, as does the shield. They're kind of like looking over in your direction, and then like a moment later they kind of like shake their heads like maybe it was nothing, and then they continue along a path which is you would be able to tell like they are definitely following a path, whatever predestined path that may be.
You said they had dragon stuff on them?
Yep.
Otrip, those symbols on their armor, are those not dragons?
They are suspiciously like that.
They look like that, yes. What is this the person that you meant? That you were indicating?
This isn't a person that I recognize.
No, I mean the one you were looking towards.
Yes, they are. Sorry, that was my bad.
That's the person that shouldn't be here.
What do you mean they shouldn't be here? What do you mean by that?
They kind of look up at you and they say,
This one carries a mark of darkness on it. Like me, but alien.
Alien?
Like me, but not of Bikran.
Like you mean like your spores?
No, this is no spore of mine, or of my kin in Balam. This one is from the threat that is here to kill us all.
That's from the blissful eclipse? Oh. Is this the Dachin that... Sarissa? No.
See, Dachin is a half-elf, if what I listen to is true.
How do you know this is such a person?
I can sense it.
Do you think he's going to be a threat?
I do not know.
Do you think he's also It was a he, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he's also looking for the dragon?
It would be too coincidental, too suspicious, if we're all headed to the same place for different reasons, I think.
Do you have any idea? I know you have a very good you have very good senses and you can feel a lot of things. Do you know in what vicinity the dragons you're looking for are? Is he heading towards those, do you think?
Take an insight check, please.
22! Delium!
This is probably the first time that Ortrob looks unprepared.
Oh, okay.
He's normally very confident in what he says, but he honestly just doesn't seem to know. And he says,
He might be headed in that direction. I think it wise that we seek some companions that... I was rather hoping that Sarissa would stay. Her and her connections.
Sarissa said she will be back once she took care of whatever it is she's doing. I'm hoping that we will not find the dragon or the dragons or the dragon eggs or whatever in that time, or if we find them, we can wait for them. But I do agree, if there's another person headed their way and we don't know what they are up to with the dragons, it might be wiser to maybe go into the town and see if we can find someone there that can help us or join us.
Someone who maybe knows the area better than me. I don't know this area at all.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Yes. My spores and children did not make it this far.
That person looked very well equipped. I don't think even if we faced them on our own, we would be able to do anything with that situation. I think it would really be wiser to go into the city and maybe find someone who knows the area.
A guide, a map, a mercenary. One paid not to think, just to strike.
I don't think we could afford a mercenary. We do not really have any monetary resources.
Perhaps just gossip and story.
We could probably find something like a scout or something like that. Someone who knows the area. Maybe a forester, something like that.
It is best that we don't rush into this one unprepared.
Yes, definitely. But if they are also headed towards the dragon, it might be wise to not linger too long.
An hour. We give ourselves an hour there.
Yes, that seems reasonable.
Okay.
and Ortrob kind of bounces back towards the
City gate?
Yes, that. It's very easy. They look you up and down. They determine that you're not a threat. You don't look like you're about to kill them, so yay them.
Tawree's probably going to look for any signs of that gelatinous person that just came by, because she is really curious what that was all about.
Take either a survival for tracking or take a perception check or an investigation check. Any of those would work.
I guess a perception.
Yeah, that would work.
18. They're droplets of goop just trailing behind
You would
them.
have noticed that the gelatinous creature would have dropped like gelatinous
Goop
blood on the ground, but you don't really see any of that. But you do spot the blood that you're looking for. There is a trail of blood that seems to be leading towards this inn.
And also, that person must have been a little bit heavier because they were basically just liquid and like another person inside of it, so their footsteps would have been hevier. I should have probably done a survival.
But yeah, like it's quite obvious. Like you can follow the blood trail, and the blood trail kind of starts in that exact point where you saw the goblin being helped out of the creature. You can follow that blood trail, and it leads you to an inn called the Broken Hammer. Hi everyone, it's V here. Thank you so much for listening to the first episode of Dragonseekers. This kind of came about as hey, I want to spend more role-playing with Tawree, and I had an idea, and I wanted to get Casey back into the Kino side, because I really enjoy playing with them too. So we ended up with a group of Kesir with Casey, and then Casey went, oh, hey, I'm going to message Mr. Wayland to see if they'd come and join, because then we have Casey, and Kesir. So yeah, this started out as a big, like, how much can we push V until she explodes and cracks? I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun to record. So this is like a spin-off. It's only going to be a little short series, we think, unless all the players really want to keep playing. But yeah, so you'll be hearing this kind of intermittently with Kino. To be honestly frank, Kino has fallen behind a little bit in recording because life has been wild for those of us that are recording Kino. And we've managed to get a good few sessions of Dragonseekers going. So we kind of intersperse this in with Kino. It will come out when it comes out. Hopefully you all enjoy it. Go check out, if you don't know who Casey Wayland is, go check out We're Alive. He's the writer and producer of that. And for his first ever role-playing experience, knocked it out of the park. I want to say thank you to all three of them, and they were really patient with my dumb ideas. And they brought like really good stories to it. So hopefully you're all enjoying it as much as we're enjoying playing it right now. I want to say a huge thank you to loads of patrons today, because there were so many names that I managed to use. Place names, people, it's been awesome. So thank you so much, y'all, for adding to the Not a Pete Fund. So to crack it down real quick, Twiglets are great. Thank you for the name Thizzle Down Fizz. Thank you to Chaos Brain Kathy for Parazi. Thank you to Peregrine for Kwarnak. And thank you to Blessed White Tiger for Lemslar and for Vendov. Thank you so much for those names. They've been really helpful to have those around. And also, as I say, thank you to David and to Jay for providing the wonderful voices that you heard dubbed over. So, yeah, I think that's kind of really it, really. Thank you all so much for listening. And if you like this, please go tweet at Casey, Mr. Wayland, and at Kessler and let them know how much you're enjoying the series. All right, I think that's it. Bye!
Big thanks to Duke Mudwalker for voicing the dragon in this episode.
You there? Yes, you there. You know that when I get brought back, I do this. So, give us 5 stars on the rating and review platform of your choice. And if you don't, well, dragons do have a bit of a fiery temper, don't they? Sleep well.